Okay, my friends, this just blew me away. This is the Gnostic Informant channel, and they say they lied about Christianity for the first 100 years. Now, these are all the different types of religious sects, basically. Now, he's starting with the Ebionites, and listen to what he has to say. I'm just going to let it play, because he did an absolutely fabulous job of laying it out very simplistically. Listen to this. Here it goes.
Of Ebionites, Jewish law-observing Christians who revere James the Just, but reject Paul as a liar. They follow strict dietary laws from the Torah, keep the Sabbath and the commandments, and think Jesus is the Messiah, but not God. You also have Alkacites from Parthia, who are also Torah observant, but also think that Jesus was a giant 96-mile tall and 14-mile wide angel who was the Son of God, and his sister, the Holy Spirit, was also the same size. And no, I'm not making this up.
No, because that's probably true. As far as my research shows, I see no reason to reject those statements.
On the other side of the spectrum, you have quite the opposite. Cainites, who think the Old Testament God is actually the devil, and Judas was the hero. And all the way to pagan Christians like the Parrot.
Now, let me just talk about the Old Testament God being the devil. We know that Satan came down and took over the earth and used it as a party palace to have sex with women. That's basically exactly what Zeus did. Exactly what they did. They came down as in the form of human beings down to Mount Olympus and just had, crazy times. So Zeus has always been portrayed by the mythology as the god of gods of this existence way back then. He was the supreme god of the other gods. And apparently there was 200 of them came. They made a big deal, and they said, come on, let's go down and have a party, and they did. And apparently there was 600 original ones that were supposed to be good and take care of humanity and make it a loving place and, a good place where people were nice to each other. And instead, it turned totally on its head. And I see no reason to say that the Old Testament God could have not possibly been Satan. A God ran this existence at that time who was not doing what the God I think of, the loving God, would want them to do. They were just having a party. And then everything went bad, and there was nothing but wars and violence and hatred and division. So the Old Testament God, who everybody has always prayed to, could be the one that really was the devil. That's need to be looked into. I can't say one way or the other, but I see no reason to completely dispute that. None whatsoever. Okay, my outstanding friends, this is like a gift from heaven. I look into the Gnostic texts, as well as the Bible, as well as the ancient myths of Appolodorus, Plato, Herodotus, Hesiod, Ovid, all of them. And I try to find things that make sense to me. Now, I just happen I am subscribed to this channel, Gnostic Informant, who goes through the Gnostic texts. And I specifically talk about the Gospel of Thomas, who was Doubting Thomas, who was Jesus' scribe, and wrote the Gospel of Thomas. And it's a whole batch of sayings, and a couple of them in there point exactly to the most crazy things in my research and point them as being correct. Now, when I saw this today, I said, wow, let me just look and see what he's got to say, And what a fabulous presentation. And I just came across this. Now, wait till you hear this. You know that I have the giants. Mine are DNA tested and the whole 9 yards. They're not huge, 150 feet, close to 200 feet tall maybe. But I have other ones like that have hair follicles like this. This is a hair follicle. Now, let me show you what this exact video, and I'm hopefully that it's not going to be upset me showing it, but this is a great channel, Gnostic Informant. I'm going to be watching to see, because the presentation is fabulous. All right, so let's continue on here.
The Old Testament God is actually the devil, and Judas was the hero. And all the way to pagan Christians like the Perete, who believed that Greek gods such as Zeus and Aphrodite were actually the archons who created the world, and Christ came to save the world from them.
I'm telling you, that makes sense. Because if Christ was the real God, son of, right now I'm believing the sun itself, the sun, is the real God of this solar system. And the son of the sun is Jesus Christ. And he did come to save us from these people that led us astray. They were put in charge, and they didn't do what they were supposed to do. And Jesus Christ was sent to say, look, you guys are following these guys. They're not the guys to follow. And they're going to lead you into a really bad place for eternity. And that's the way I'm looking at things now. That's what I can tell you. That's what I'm seeing now. Okay, listen to this now. This is from Refute It. And it's saying the Book of Enoch debunked 4,500-foot giants. Now listen to this.
The Book of Enoch, also known as the One Enoch text, claims that hundreds of fallen angels mated with human women during the pre-flood era. And the angels, the children of the heaven, saw and lusted after the daughters of men, and said to one another, Come, let us choose wives from among the children of men and birth children. Quoted from 1 Enoch 6:2. Supposedly, from these hundreds of marriages between angels and humans, children were born. Not normal children, but children that grew to astronomical heights. According to 1 Enoch 7:2, human women impregnated by angels gave birth to giants that reached heights of 4,500 feet tall.
I think they were taller than that, but that's pretty tall. Okay, so he's saying they were not quite a mile tall. They were 4,500 feet tall in that area, and there would have been hundreds of them around. Well, I think they could have been bigger than that. Now, I don't know how many times bigger this is than a human hair follicle, but let's say that was from a human. That is a hair follicle. This right here is where the erector pili muscle attaches. This right here is the sebaceous gland. You see it? This is the root. It comes up through, and it comes up to the shaft out through the top. And this is a flat-sided hair, which is from a curly-haired person, they say. And of course you have the vein and the artery at the bottom. And that's a hair follicle. Now, I gotta figure, I don't know. Maybe it's from a 4,500-foot tall creature. I have no idea. All I can tell you, it's a big, big creature. So I would say at least what Enoch was talking about is probably quite likely. Now, were they bigger? I don't know. But I can tell you one thing, the dragons were much bigger, much bigger. And Jesus was supposedly 96 miles tall, so that's quite a bit bigger than less than a mile. Okay, my other giants are DNA tested. They're not as big as what would be if this was a hair follicle, which it is. And the other ones are what they are. They've been DNA tested, but it would equate to something maybe about 160 to between 160 180 feet tall, something like that. That's good size. Now, this is what caught my eye here, is Jesus said, if they say to you, where did you come from? Say to them, we came from the light, which is from the sun. The place where the light came into being on its own accord. It just happens because of the sun. It just happens on its own accord. It established itself and became manifest through their image. The images of us are the same as the images of them. If they say to you, is it you? You say, we are its children. We are the children of the light. We are the elect of the living Father. We have been selected, our molecules, to have a soul and to become an entity. Basically, we are the elect. If they ask you, what is the sign of your Father in you? Say to them, it is movement and repose. Movement is light as it moves. Repose is light as it's just a heat particle. It's not moving. And that is seen, that's the cosmic microwave background. It's just the glow of the universe. And light moving forward and blasts and all these bomb things going off. That is the movement. And the other part is just the glow when it just settles down and doesn't move anymore. That's the repose. Now, look at this one. 56. Jesus said, whoever has come to understand the world has found only a corpse. And I'm telling you, that's all it is. And whoever has found a corpse is superior to the world. So if you can find that the earth is a corpse, well, then I guess you're superior to the world. Blessed is the man who has suffered and found life. Well, take heed of the living one while you are alive, lest you die and seek to see him and be unable to do so. Take heed of the living one while you are alive. The living one is still Jesus as far as I'm concerned. And all of these things are just absolutely unbelievable. His disciples said to him, when will the repose of the dead come about? And when will the new world come? He said to them, what you look forward to has already come, but you do not recognize it. I think Revelations has already happened. There's a lot to discuss here, but this was from one of the top guys. This was the Gospel of Thomas, Doubting Thomas. And he wrote and they rejected all these Gnostic things and Enoch and all that because they're so spectacular. They're just beyond belief. A lot of this stuff is beyond belief, but just like Enoch, a mile-tall guys. Well, if it's true, it's true. But to speak about it, to things that just seem just absolutely insanely crazy, they just can't do it. And you still can't do it today, even though the evidence is there. Typhon and Quetzalcoatl are showing those very clearly. I show these kind of things very clearly. My other ones are DNA tested, CAT scan parts of them and everything else, and it still won't be accepted. So that's why these ancient texts were pushed off to the side. They were too spectacular. That's the bottom line. All right, I'm going to leave it at this. But when I say everything is too spectacular, they think it makes everything into a spectacle, like it's just crazy people talking, but it's not. I know it sounds it. Look at the size of this, and that's not even as big as they were. I'm sure they were much bigger than that. And here's the Empire State Building, and there's the guy. And here's the Great Pyramid of Giza. So, and this isn't even a mile tall. They claim Jesus was 96 miles tall. All right, and all of this stuff is in these ancient texts, in the mythologies, which were all just considered to be silly stories. But when you start to really do your due diligence and look up Typhon, and then look at the dragon in Morocco, it's exactly Typhon. And so I think we should pay a little more attention to these to see, is there anything that supports it? And I say yes. And I point to the things that do support things. And now it's time to start investigating them in a little more substantial way. All right, there's been many years of this, and it's just total denial from the people that are speaking about history and all of these, making all these claims. Claims are fine. I have no problem with that, but I need to be able to address those claims with my claims. That's all I'm asking for. All right, I love you all. Let's see if we can get some claim to claim stuff going on. All right, I love you. Bye.